Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to tell you the story of the manliest man who ever lived. John Churchill joined the army in 1926 at the age of 19. He learned how to ride a motorcycle and rode it all across the Indian subcontinent, even where there were no roads. He hit a water buffalo one time, picked himself up and kept on going. Then his regiment moved back to England, and that's boring. So he retired from the army. After retirement, he became a newspaper editor, and a movie extra, and a male model, and a world champion archer. Because that's what you do when your name, John Malcolm Thorpe Fleming Churchill. But our story isn't over. Johnny wasn't done. World War II broke out, so he picked up his gun. The Allies went to France, and Jack was sent with them. While the rest of the Allies were retreating, he led guerrilla-style raids on his motorcycle with his bow and arrow, and his sword, and a bagpipe. When asked about the sword, he replied,
"In my opinion, any officer who goes into action without his sword is improperly dressed."
At Dunkirk, he fought bravely, at one point wielding 2 machine guns to defend against the Germans. He also became the first person in World War II to score a confirmed kill with his bow and arrow. After Dunkirk, he earned the nickname Mad Jack. He took a machine gun round in the neck, but that was not enough to stop him from rescuing another British soldier. He earned the Military Cross and was finally sent back to England to recover. Because that's what you do when your name is John Malcolm Thorpe Fleming Mad Jack Churchill. But our story isn't over. Jack was not quite through. He joined a commando unit just to have something to do. His unit was sent in to attack German artillery in Norway. As the barge was floating in, he played songs on his bagpipes to lift his men's spirits. The barge landed, the ramp dropped. He was the first one on the beach, waving his sword and screaming, "Commando!" at the top of his lungs. 2 hours later, British High Command received the following telegram.
"Malloy battery in Ireland captured. Casualties minimum. Demolition in progress. Churchill."
Later, his unit was sent to Italy. They were required to attack a German artillery base that was surrounded by landmines. So Jack organized his men around the base in the middle of the night and sent them all in at the same time, screaming, "Commando!" And they took 136 prisoners. Later in that same campaign, Jack snuck up on a German sentry, jumped out, swung his sword at the man, and the German dropped his gun because Jack told him to.
In German.
So Jack looped his revolver cord around the man's neck, used him as a human shield, and went from post to post doing the same thing to other Germans. By the end of the night, he had single-handedly taken 41 prisoners.
That's what you do.
No, not yet. His group was then sent to Yugoslavia. And in Yugoslavia, every man but Jack was taken out in the assault. He was the last one left, no ammo, no men left. The Germans were approaching, so he took out his bagpipe and played his own funeral song until he was finally taken out by a German grenade. Because that is what you do when your name is John Malcolm Thorpe Fleming, Mad Jack, Fightin' Jack, Captain Jack Churchill. Our story isn't over. Jack was not yet dead. The Germans woke him up in a prison camp instead, from which he promptly escaped by tunneling under barbed wire. After he got out, he was quickly recaptured, this time sent to a different prison camp in Austria, from which he also escaped during a power outage by walking out the front gates. He walked 150 miles to get to an American convoy. When he got there, he couldn't stand, could barely walk, but he could still snap off a mean Sandhurst salute. He was sent back to England to recover again, and the war in Europe was over for Jack. So he re-enlisted to join the Pacific Campaign. He was sent to Burma, but before he could fight there, the bombs were dropped. And he is actually quoted as saying,
It wasn't for those damn Yanks. We're gonna get that war going for 10 more years.
But the war was over, and so he was sent back to England.
So that's what you do.
No, there's more. Sorry. Just keep playing, there's more. So he learned how to be a paratrooper after the war was over, and he started leading a paratrooper squad out of Scotland. Then when that was finished, he moved to Australia to teach those guys how to jump out of airplanes, and then he built his own surfboard. He learned how to surf, then took his surfboard back to England and became the first person in history to surf the 5-foot waves of the English Severn River. And then he learned how to repair steamboats, so he and his wife could go up on steamboat rides up and down the Thames. He started rebuilding these tiny remote-controlled warships and revolutionized the hobby. And then he got a job at the Ministry of Defense, and every day on his way home from his office job, he would throw his briefcase out the window to upset the other passengers because he knew that he could get it into his own garden, and that was easier than carrying it all the way from the train station. He didn't die until 1996, at the age of 89. Natural causes. Because that is what you do when your name is John Malcolm Thorpe Fleming, Mad Jack, Fightin' Jack, Captain Jack, Paratroopin' Jack,
The dual machine gun wielding Jack,
Sword Fightin' Jack,
bagpipe playing Jack,
Bow and Arrow Jack,
motorcycling Jack,
Steamboat Jack,
dual distinguished service medal Jack,
radio-controlled boat building Jack Churchill. The story's done for real, as you may have realized. But if Jack rose from the dead, we wouldn't be surprised. No, we wouldn't be surprised.
Jonathan Murphy, the true story of Jack Churchill. Look it up.